Okay, so a couple important developments. We have the KMT in Taiwan basically wiped out the other party. Forget what they call themselves, but the other party, which was the ruling party, led by this female head of state. They're the pro-American party. They're the ones that welcomed Nancy Pelosi to Taiwan earlier this year. Well, they basically just got wiped out in the elections. Okay, now, I think this is a very important moment because what this shows is that, the electorate in Taiwan, at least, and I'm sure in other countries, is starting to look at U.S. influence as a very dangerous thing indeed, and they're trying to distance themselves from U.S. influence. This Ukraine war, Ursula von der Leyen today, yesterday, apparently said that, was talking about Ukraine, and she mentioned that there were 100,000 Ukrainians, I think she said killed, so far since February of this year. Now, that doesn't surprise me at all. Now, a lot of people say, she meant casualties and not killed, and that's certainly possible. That would fall in line with what a lot of people have been saying. I think Minister of Defense in Russia, Shoigu, said a month or two ago that there were at least 100,000 casualties. At least. I think the number is probably closer to 150,000 I'd say at least 150,000 at this point. So Ursula von der Leyen said that on a taped conference. It was put on YouTube or something like that. And they actually deleted the part where she mentioned the casualty figure out of the video. They deleted it from the transcript. Okay. They don't want people to know how many Ukrainian soldiers are dying, okay? They don't want people to know that for obvious reasons. But, Taiwanese and, all people, they're not stupid. So they see what's happening in Ukraine, and they see that it isn't turning out well for Ukraine. What happened in Ukraine? Well, essentially, the United States bought out the government, essentially. And of course, as tends to happen, things aren't going the way that they thought it would. And now the United States is looking for a way to dump the entire issue. Our government, the United States government, will completely dump the Ukrainians and pretend like nothing ever happened and leave the Ukrainians in their misery. Okay, this is what happens to countries that do business, that kind of business with the United States. The Taiwanese people saw that and they said, hell no. And they wiped out the party, the pro-U.S. party, and now they've elected the KMT, which is actually the original party of Chiang Kai-shek. They are actually, believe it or not, more pro-China than the other party, and they are, they won a considerable amount of seats in the parliament. So this is an important point. This is an important thing. I think it shows a global change in direction, a global change in the outlook of countries towards United States influence and European influence, which is basically an extension of the United States at this point. So, when Russia, I think how it really panned out is that all of these smaller countries were just waiting for somebody to stand up to the United States. Mali wasn't about to, stand up to the Western powers. But once Russia took that step and actually put their foot down and said, this isn't gonna happen anymore. I think there were a lot of countries, a lot of people around the world waiting for that. They were waiting for that, and now they're all jumping on the bandwagon. And I think it's irreversible at this point. It's unstoppable. I don't see how the decline of U.S. influence around the world can be stopped. I mean, Americans may not give a fuck that 100,000 Ukrainians died. I mean, I'm sure most Americans really don't give a fuck. But people around the world, they see that and they say that could be us. If we keep, for example, Taiwanese, if we keep letting Nancy Pelosi come here and stir up trouble, same goes true for all of these, the BRICS countries and the global South. They're all looking at what happened in Ukraine, and it's just absolutely horrifying, and nobody wants to be that. So they're all saying, well, if we allow, people like Lindsey Graham to come here, and if we allow them to, if we take all their money, if we take this money that they're giving us, the catch is going to be an eventual destruction of our country, right? So, very important in my opinion. In Mali, they just kicked the French out of Mali. I think there's a domino effect going on here, and it can't be reversed. It can't be reversed because here in the United States, okay, the electorate is going to continue to put the same sorts of people in power. First of all, you have a deeply entrenched neoconservative movement within the government, neoconservative, neoliberal, whatever you want to call it, in all of the bureaucracies. It's just so entrenched. It's going to take a while to purge that garbage out of our system. And second of all, the American electorate is just so fucking stupid. They don't really know what they're voting for half the time. And they're going to keep on electing these same people who brought us Ukraine, who gave us Libya, Syria, all of that. It's going to continue until there's serious problems. And by the time that happens, it'll be too late to fix it. So I think the decline of United States influence in the world is really well underway, and it can't be stopped. We were the Roman Empire. We were the rulers of the world for a few decades. That era has passed. It's over. It's not the end of it's not the end of the world for Americans. America is very self-sufficient in terms of resources and such, but that era of the United States getting whatever it wants from anywhere in the world, that era is over. I mean, if you look at Ukraine, another thing that Ukraine really has showed a lot of people is that, these expensive weapons that the United States is selling or even providing for free on the taxpayer dole to all these countries, they're not going to protect them from a country like Russia or China. I mean, anybody who understands military history could have told you that. But so that's just another disincentive to getting involved with the United States. So we're seeing this big deal. Just thought I'd mention that. I am out.